Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
Take 3. Today, we are seeing me in a very different light, and you might be wondering, where's the black guy? Devin is not here. That is because I have a very unique idea that I want to do today, and that is including, as you can see, Madden NFL franchise. I think I'm functionally smart and Devin's book smart, and the stuff that I say actually works in the real world. My idea of my own little show is to take everything that Devin has said and throw it in the Madden and see if it actually works in Madden 24 franchise mode. So basically the entire premise of this show is to see if Devin is actually functionally smart or if he's just book smart and he says a bunch of fancy words and talks in circles and confuses me all the time. And listen, the setup's going to get better, kids, all right? This is my first time. I thought of it this morning and I set all of this up to get it done. All right, not sponsored. Hopefully one day, Zenachino's keeps the doctor away because you'll be dead. All right, now let's get into it. Devin thinks that if CJ Stroud got drafted by the Panthers, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just play a clip and have him talk to you.
Or you could have drafted CJ Stroud with 1. You had 1, so you could have still drafted him. You didn't, and you missed out on Caleb Williams, and you ended up with Bryce Young, who in the long run may still be a franchise guy, but he's more going to be along the lines of Andy Dalton and Derek Carr than he is Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers.
But not only is he better than Bryce Young, on the Panthers, he would have turned that franchise around. And I argued that we do not know if Bryce Young is bad because he has a 33-year-old Adam Thielen to throw to. So what we are doing today is we are putting CJ Stroud on the flippin' Panthers, baby. He gets drafted first overall. We go back in a time machine and get him first pick overall on the Carolina Panthers. And let's see how he does. And subsequently, we will also see how Bryce Young does going to the Texans. And there's the boy, CJ Stroud, a Panther taken first overall in the draft. And here is your lineup for the Carolina Panthers. This is why I argued that Bryce Young, it's not Bryce Young's fault. Look at these guys. Look, who do they have? Their best player on their team right now is 87 overall Miles Sanders. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Miles Sanders was injured for this season where Bryce Young was playing. I'm not 100% sure. I will fact check myself. Might take it out if I'm wrong. But then after that, it goes to 83 overall Adam Thielen, the 33-year-old god who can still play it. The white man can jump and white man can catch. So right now we're advancing to the playoffs, and we're going to see how CJ Stroud fared with the Carolina Panthers this year if he was drafted first overall. Jesus Christ, I've been sitting here for 5 minutes and we're still only in week 5 simming. This is a multi-million-dollar company. Just want to say that right now. Why the fuck can it be a 10-second ordeal to sim to the Super Bowl in Madden franchise? That's kind of the whole point of Madden franchise. All right, and finally, we are simmed through, and we are in the playoffs. And if you look at the standings, we are 6-11. Not that great for the standings for the Panthers with CJ Stroud. And if you look over to the right, our draft central, our top needs are QBs. So as of right now, not looking good for the boy CJ Stroud. But let's get into his stats and let's take a look at him and Bryce Young, because we're also looking at how Bryce Young would do with that roster over in Texas. And here we have it for CJ Stroud. Sorry, my camera is in the way, but CJ Stroud had 3,418 passing yards, 463 attempts on 287 completions, 27 TDs with 17 interceptions, and a 61% completion rate, and 36 sacks. I want to say that's high, but I have simmed one before, and we will look at it right now. Okay, so from a quick scroll, it was a pretty average amount of sacks. Last time I simmed this, he got sacked way less than everybody else at the Panthers, and he still had roughly around the same sacks, but everybody else had crazy numbers, like 70 sacks that season. I don't know why. And this is a bit of a surprise. Last time I did this, Adam Thielen was still the number one. This time it is DJ Clark Jr. out of LSU with 1,000 1,000 yards receiving and 6 TDs. Now, here's the thing. For this one, I did the preseason roster, so I don't know how much that changes things because last time it was just a regular roster, and Adam Thielen was the top receiver. Now, looking at team stats, the Carolina Panthers are the second worst offense in the NFL. The Buccaneers somehow, this is the year that the Buccaneers went to the playoffs, and they somehow are worse than the Carolina Panthers. I don't know how that happened. Basically, they're around the same with CJ Stroud. They're 6-11 though, so that is a lot better. 6-11 is a lot better. Don't get me wrong. That is a huge improvement with CJ Stroud there, but they're still, at least in offensive stats, they are the second worst team in the NFL. Now, let's go look at the Texans. Now with the Texans, let's look at Bryce Young. 3,647 yards, 326 completions with 464 attempts and 21 touchdowns, 70% completion rating, 10% higher than CJ Stroud. And he got sacked 26 times, so around 10 less sacks as in total. But here's the thing, they went 9-8. So they improved heavily from last year because the year before they were trash. And this is still with Bryce Young on the Texans. This would be a team that you're looking up for. You're looking out for. This is a team that's on the rise going 9-8 with their new starter. Kind of similar to when CJ Stroud was on the Texans. We have, we have Robert Woods, the top receiver, at 1,000 yards with 6 touchdowns. Tank Dell coming in at the second with 779 yards with 5 touchdowns. And then Noah Brown. Where is Nico Collins in all this? Oh my God. Nico Collins is at the bottom of the board, less than Dameon Pierce. He only got 8 receptions for 92 yards and 0 touchdowns. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. This might be me. Maybe there's something wrong with the preseason selection where you go and you take 2023's preseason, but I did not expect Nico Collins to not even be starting, and it's Noah Brown, Tank Dell, and Robert Woods. So maybe that's on me. Maybe this one's not right, but Nico Collins, who was a staple in CJ Stroud's offense, seemingly is non-existent in Bryce Young's offense. And Robert Woods, who I would say is the opposite, he's non-existent in CJ Stroud's offense, is now the number 1 wide receiver. And I do want to point out when I just did a regular season, so I just did the normal rosters as they would be today for the first test. And surprisingly enough, Tank Dell was actually the 4th receiver because there wasn't that connection with CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, which I thought was interesting. I was kind of hoping to see that again to see if that was something that Madden is predicting. If Bryce Young was on the Texans, Tank Dell wouldn't get as many balls because there's not that connection. He didn't ask for that guy to get drafted, so there would be no reason to really throw to this man. But from this new selection, it doesn't seem to be the case. Tank Dell is the number 2, still getting 30 less balls than Robert Woods. Robert Woods with an incredible season. Alrighty, so viewing the playoff picture, I think I made a mistake. I think going with this preseason selection completely ruined whatever this video was supposed to be, because we have the Chargers as the 1st seed. And if you know anything about the Chargers, they were probably the farthest from the 1st seed this year in 2023. And then we have the Bills, the Titans as the 3 seed with Will Levis on their team, Baltimore in the 4th, Kansas City in the 5th, Dolphins in the 6th, and then the Broncos in the 7th. So I think I made a little bit of a mistake here. I think maybe going with the preseason selection wasn't the correct choice because this is scuffed. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, if you look at the Super Bowl is not that scuffed because it's Bills, Eagles. That's realistic. The rest of this is just shambles. I got to be honest. But the point being, neither the Panthers or the Texans made it into the playoffs. But with CJ Stroud on the Texans, he did make it to the 2nd round of the playoffs with the regular test that I did before I decided to go with the preseason selection of the roster, which I'm now regretting terribly. The Texans did make it to the playoffs on Bryce Young's 1st year. They did not make it to the 2nd round. They got beat up, but they did make it to the playoffs. So from looking at just the stats and not all this NFL playoff talk, it seems like the Panthers are still terrible. Houston is on the rise with Bryce Young, and even with CJ Stroud, the Panthers are still ass. So maybe we'll do more of these, maybe we won't. Maybe once I get a better setup that's more a lot more better than this, we'll do another one. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see any more of this, and also let me know any franchise settings that would make this better, because obviously choosing the beginning of the season 2023 preseason roster was not the right call. I thought that would make it more realistic, but I mean, as you can see from this, the NFL is a wild place. I mean, Washington in the 6th seed. Please let me know any settings that would make this better, because I am lost. Maybe I'll just stick with the base settings, not try and fiddle with it. But the problem is that I can only do this for so long before our draft picks get added into this, and then you're going to have the Chicago Bears in this playoff picture every single time we sim. So please let me know. Maybe there's some online rosters I can go. Please drop them down in the comments. Let me know the best accurate rosters for going back to the beginning of this year, switching guys around, and then seeing how the NFL would play out if that were to happen. Please like, subscribe, comment if you want more. I know this is scuffed and it's probably not fun to watch, but just have a beer. Enjoy it, fuckers. Cowabunga.